All right. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Every.Black Mastermind meeting. I am your MC for the evening. My name is Camille Richardson, and I am the founder and CEO of a company called Blind Girl Vision. It's my motivational movement, and I do motivational speaking, empowering people to live their best life in spite of their circumstances. I named my company Blind Girl Vision because I'm born totally blind, but yet I still choose to live my life with vision. So that's why I chose to name my company what I named it. So now, before we get started into the meeting, we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping, and then I'm going to give you the meeting agenda, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So first, I want to let you all know that the meeting is being broadcast on Facebook Live. So if you would like to go to your page and stream it, please feel free to do so. We actually really encourage you to do that. And we also request that you stay on mute unless you have a question or comment. And if possible, you can raise your hand to be called on. And when you are called on, please state your name and your location before you speak so that we'll know where you are and who you are. And I always forget to do that every single week. Yeah, I'm definitely human. I am located in Raleigh, North Carolina. So there, I did that piece of housekeeping that was very important and I forgot to do earlier. So now I'm going to go over the program agenda. So the agenda is going to go as follows. First, we're going to have the Every.Black introductory video. After that, I'll share the mission of Every.Black and the benefits of a mastermind meeting. And then Ms. Deborah Wright will ever so elegantly and ever so eloquently lead us through the reading of our SB Fuller book, followed by a short discussion. And then we'll have our Every.Black founder, Mr. Jimmy Davies. He will share some announcements, and then he will give some tech tips. Then Ms. Wheatley Exum will share an encouraging Bible verse. Ms. Jacqueline Bowens will introduce our speaker. And also, I want to let you know that behind the scenes, we have Ms. Kim Davies, who is our engineer. Also, after the speaker, we are also going to do some networking exercises. So please don't leave after the speaker because everybody's going to be able to meet somebody else on the call. And that's the purpose of the networking exercises. And then we'll close out with a prayer. So now we're going to go ahead and show the Every.Black introductory video. So Mr. Jimmy Davies, the floor is yours.
I grew up in Flint, Michigan during the 60s. And I remember as a child, the civil rights movement. And I remember as family would huddle around this black and white TV and watch all of the things that were going on in Alabama and Mississippi. Some of my cousins, older cousins, were active in the movement. And every Sunday we would have a large Sunday dinner with the extended family. And they would come back on Sundays and they would tell us about all the things they'd seen and done. And as a child, about 8 or 9 years old, I always wanted to grow up and be a part of that. But by the time I became of age, it was all over. All of the marching was done. I always felt left out, that I didn't get a chance to participate in the civil rights movement. But little did I know that God had another plan for me as a computer instructor and database developer. We as a people had to overcome slavery and secondly, obtain our civil rights, being able to eat in any restaurant or stay in any hotel that we wanted. But the third piece is economic equality. I'm convinced that to achieve economic equality, it has to be through entrepreneurship. And we must use technology and a strategy of global networking. And that's why I created Every.Black, to use my 30 years of experience as a computer instructor and database developer, to use technology to promote our members. We do it in a wide variety of ways. Of course, we list them on the website. We list our members in a directory that is downloadable from the website and our podcast, and distribute it at trade shows and other events. We constantly promote our members on social media and weekly email blast. Our social media followers and recipients of our email blast numbers in the tens of thousands. With over 30 podcast shows that air weekly, we reach people around the world, educating them about every aspect of becoming an entrepreneur. Where you can be interviewed on one of our podcasts or join Every.Black and have your own podcast. We have a complete package of services catered specifically for the entrepreneur. And last, we conduct weekly mastermind meetings where we read positive books and learn about entrepreneurship while networking with like-minded individuals. Just go to www.every.black to register for our weekly mastermind meetings. And that's what Every.Black is all about. Whether it's through mastermind meetings, providing the members with more exposure through social media and email blast, interviewing the members on podcast, and even providing them with their own podcast. We also make it very affordable for anyone to join, from a basic listing to a bronze, silver, or gold membership. So visit us at Every.Black. Sign up today. Just go to Every.Black, EVERY.BLACK. No .com, no .net. Just Every.Black. .black is the new .com.
Remember that, y'all. .black is the new .com. So now I'm going to go over the mission of Every.Black, and then I'm going to list some of the benefits of attending a mastermind meeting. So our mission is to assist, educate, and inspire people to create wealth through entrepreneurship by leveraging technology and a strategy of global networking. And how do we do that, we ask? Well, we do that through the membership. And if you have a membership, you are featured on the Every.Black directory. We also market our members through social media and email blasts. We educate people about entrepreneurship through the Every.Black podcast network as well. And the best way is every Monday night right here on Zoom for the Every.Black mastermind meetings. So now, what are the benefits of attending a mastermind meeting? Well, number one, we can discover solutions through brainstorming. We can tap into the experience and skills of others, increase your confidence in the decisions you make, be accountable for real progress in your business, obtain an instant and valuable network, which is extremely important for those of us who are entrepreneurs, develop a sense of family. You are not alone. Innovate from new ideas, and last but certainly not least, boost your everyday positive mental attitude, which again is something that is so very necessary as an entrepreneur. Our mission is also twofold. As I said earlier, you can network with like-minded people, and we also read positive books. So now I'm going to turn the floor over to Ms. Deborah Wright, who is going to lead us through the S.B. Fuller book, as she does every week. So Ms. Deborah, it is all yours.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Deborah Wright. I am in Wake Forest, North Carolina, and I am the owner and manager of Alignment Life Coaching. I am going to continue to read tonight, and if anyone has the book, I will be starting on page 118. But we are continuing to read about the controversy over a speech that Mr. Fuller made in 1963 at the National American Manufacturers Conference. And so at that speech, he was attacked by several people, but the primary attack came from Jackie Robinson, who branded Mr. Fuller as anti-Negro. And so tonight we are going to continue a piece by an editor from a newspaper in New York, the New York Courier, where this person actually comes to Mr. Fuller's defense. And so we will continue that discussion or the piece that she wrote in defense of Mr. Fuller's speech. So this person continues to say, by examining Mr. Fuller's example of success, one can readily see what can happen when people, Negro or white, utilize, initiate, integrity, courage, and wisdom. And let it be absolutely understood that these basic requirements for success must be demonstrated by anyone determined to succeed. Nature values her space so highly that only the most fit shall survive. Negroes must measure up to this requirement just as any other group of individuals. This willingness to measure up must be instilled and burning within our bosoms. It cannot be passed on to us by legislative acts, nor can it be bestowed by our good white friends anywhere. Mr. Fuller repeated in his speech that which he has said time and again, that the solutions of race problems in America will come finally and only when the Negro looks to himself for his salvation. No man, no matter how highly placed, can confer first class on another. We shall be first class by paying the first class dues of loyalty, preparation, hard work, and persistence. Isn't it significant that there is almost a conspiracy among Negro leaders to ignore what Mr. Fuller has to say, but at the same time, He cannot feel the many speech requests from so-called grassroots organizations and churches that are clamoring to hear him. And Jackie, and this writer refers to Jackie Robinson, did you notice how you and the daily papers ignored Mr. Fuller's admonition to Negroes to pool their financial resources so as to begin to develop businesses of their own, to create the vital jobs for their children, my son, and the thousands of others pouring out of schools every year? Have you stopped to shudder, as I have, over the plight of the Negro if every white business in our neighborhood suddenly closed up and moved off? Lastly, Mr. Fuller reminded the industrial leaders at the National Association of Manufacturers meeting that banks must have a more helpful attitude when the Negro businessman applies for a loan. But you and the dailies together overlooked this point. Now, Jackie, if you want to lead a massive boycott against all of Mr. Fuller's companies, you're free to do so. But if you feel he should be penalized for attempting to lead some Negroes to a more complete and fulfilling way of life, that is your privilege. But Jackie, also include the Courier in that boycott, because Mr. Fuller owns the Courier chain of newspapers across the nation. He became the Courier publisher and owner to save a vitally needed organ for the Negro national and local community. He stepped in when the jobs of over 100 people were at stake, and no financing group, no Negro civil rights group could or would help. Saving the Courier meant that he saved the newspaper that pushed the Double V campaign during World War II. You remember, Victory at Home, for the concept of equality of opportunity, as well as victory for democracy abroad. Saving the Courier also meant Mr. Fuller saved the newspaper that played such a prominent and singularly significant role in getting the Negro ball player into organized baseball. This should be a fairly easy point of recall, shouldn't it, Jackie? But let me summarize by simply saying that Mr. Fuller has given greater employment opportunities to more Negroes than any other Negro I know. He has provided scholarships personally and through his companies for more Negro students than any other individual I know. During our time and in full view, he has demonstrated what anyone can do in America, be he Negro or white. That everyone doesn't accomplish, white or Negro, is not Mr. Fuller's fault. He has to be listened to because he has proved personally what can be done. He had the courage to go into business when there were no guarantees of success. He had the initiative to make his business go. He demonstrated wisdom, or his operations would not have grown and expanded. And he had integrity, or he would not have prospered. Mr. Fuller has been a tremendous inspiration to me and to thousands of others. We wish there were many hundreds more. And this was an article by the editor of the New York Courier in defense of Mr. Fuller's position. So now we want to find out if you have some thoughts about this article, which was in defense of the controversy that Mr. Fuller created from his speech, and the fact that he was branded as anti-Negro by some civil rights leaders at that time.
Well, this is Jimmy Davies in Durham, North Carolina. I was just going to say, we've been reading this about that speech and the aftermath of that speech for quite a while. I thought that she brought out a lot of good points in his defense. I just wondered, as you were reading that, I was wondering, how would people accept a speech like that today? It just entered my mind. I was just curious. But anyway, I just thought she had brought out a lot of good points about the things that he had done and was doing. So.
This is Pat from Atlanta. Hey, everybody. How y'all doing this evening?
Good.
Two things came to mind. Number one was, I think Mr. Fuller's desire or dream is now starting amongst the younger ones, particularly those that realized in 2008 when the bust happened that they'd gone to school and then everything fell apart. That generation, say maybe 35 and down, they're the ones who are, whether they go to college or not, they're setting up businesses. They're teaching their children businesses. They're doing what he mentioned because they realize exactly what he said. We're sitting around waiting on somebody else. And I love the phrase, if every business owned by someone other than us shut down, then what? And maybe that's how it has to be presented to people. But understanding, as he said, some people still may not get it, not this lifetime, and that's okay. But I think his vision is starting to come about now, which I think is one of the things that challenges other folks because they've always depended on us to put our money in their direction. And now it's starting to come and stay in our own community.
This is Jackie Bowens out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. I'd like to add on to what was just said. I think also another reason that Blacks are starting to own their own businesses and support one another more is technology helps out a lot. There's a lot more opportunities because what's available and what's known and what's being taught and people networking and all that type thing. The modern age has really provided a lot more to me for this generation, the younger generation. They have more opportunities because of that. And thank you, that's what I have to say.
This is Linda Davis. Should I not be showing my video? Should I stop the video?
Oh, you're fine.
You're fine.
You're fine, Linda.
I don't see any other faces on there other than you guys directing. It's
You're
okay,
fine.
huh?
That's okay.
Okay.
Did you have a comment? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just really like the confidence that he had, knowing that what he was doing was right, and he had an attitude to pursue relentlessly. So I like that, and people can catch on to that. Use him as their mentor, as their example. And that's all I want to say.
Okay, well, thank you. You're kind of breaking up a little bit at the end, but I think we got the gist of it, but thank you.
Okay.
Well, everybody's kind of quiet. Anyone else? We're going to move on if no one else has any other comments to make. Okay, well, thank you, Deborah, for the reading, and thanks for the comments that were made. One of the things that we try to do, a couple of things we try to do each week, is one, we want to highlight an Every.Black member. And so today we're highlighting Latasha Baruti, and she's actually out of Detroit area, near Detroit in Michigan, but she provides holistic mental health services to individuals. And she's been a member for a few years. I spoke to her husband maybe a couple of months ago, and now they're actually in Africa, working in Africa, doing the same type of thing. So we haven't heard from her in a while, but we just wanted to highlight her as the member of the week this week, Every.Black member. And like I said, what we do is we share some announcements with everyone. Then we have a tech tip and before we bring on our guest speaker. But one thing we want to remind everyone this year in particular, be sure to vote. And if you need help, there's a website, whether you're in the military overseas or if you know someone that can't get back, they can still vote. And then if you're in North Carolina, we've got a website, democracync.org, to help you with any information about voting. But regardless of where you are, then just look into your local election board and then make sure that you're ready to vote this November. Another announcement that we have to share is the Google Podcast Creator Program. I've been showing this for the last couple of weeks, so this is really a great program where Google literally invest in the best ideas for podcasts. And they provide training, they provide equipment, they even provide cash for those selected in the program. And that application date is August the 2nd. So, and also if you want any information about any of these items too, after the meeting, be sure to let us know. This is another one that I just found out about literally just a few days ago, but it's the Visa I Fund Women grant program for Black women-owned businesses. And that also, the application date is July 31st, so just a few days. But the website is ifundwomen.com/visa. And so grants will be available. So check them out if you're interested. Really encourage you to do so. The Ppp deadline has been extended to August 8th. And again, just want to remind people of that. We have a couple of members, Sherelle James is one, and Michelle Campbell. If you need help understanding it, let us know. We can get someone to meet with you and really fully explain the application process, but you don't want to miss it if you qualify. And then we also have a member, Alice Walker, who provides COVID supplies. So if you're looking for have trouble getting any COVID supplies, masks or gowns or almost anything, that they can get it for you within a few days. We have a special relationship with Lafayette and Sandra Miller Jones, and he authors a column in the Urban Call Briefs of National Beauty Magazine with 15,000, I think, distribution. We're always looking for Every.Black members or others that may qualify to be included in the publication. What's needed is we need a nice headshot. We need a profile, a bio of 400 words or less, and some connection, have to show some connection to the beauty industry. And we will be glad to submit your application for that. And then we just want to put a face with the names, because they also have the Urban Call. And this is also important, especially right now. If you know of anyone that's about to lose their health insurance because of they've lost their job or expect to be losing their job in the near future, be sure to get that number there and that email address and reach out to them, because even if we're not in the healthcare enrollment period, they still may qualify for assistance. So that's really important. We want to share that. So the other thing that we always do is give people an overview of Every.Black. And this is our main website, and we encourage you to go check us out. You can click on the Search Now button when you go there, and it'll pull up all the members. But what we do is we try to provide exposure and marketing help, support for entrepreneurs. And one of the things that we also are doing now, every Friday, we have a members orientation to make sure all of our members understand fully their benefits. The members are listed in a directory that's downloadable from the website, and we share at different events and on our podcast. We send out a weekly email blast to promote the members and the things that the members are doing. And then we also share anything they're doing on our social media as well. Again, by being a member, then we help you get your message out to reach more eyeballs and hopefully more customers, more clients. We also started providing technical training every Friday, and that's at 3 o'clock every Friday, because right now we realize everyone needs some technical training. So we look at different subject matters, but we just bring everybody up to speed. This Friday coming up, we're going to be working on Zoom. We're showing people how to administer Zoom for meetings. And then we also have the podcast, Every.Black Entrepreneur Podcast Network. If you're a member of Every.Black, you can have a podcast on our network. And we've got shows every day that are listed on the podcast. And then, of course, the Mastermind meetings, where we meet every Monday night, now virtually. And we want to encourage you to keep coming back, and also tell a friend, invite others as well. Okay, well, those are the announcements. What do we do each week also? I share some tech tips. And tonight, I thought I would just talk about domain names a little bit, to let you know about domain names. Well, actually, before the 1980s, domain names didn't exist. All the computers were referenced by their IP address, by the numbers. But what the government decided to do, it made sense to come up with some basic domains, .com, .edu for educational institutions, .coms for commercial, .net, .gov for federal government agencies, .mil for military, and .org for nonprofits. And the idea is that you can give a website or give a name. It's a lot easier to remember than numbers, than an IP address. And what happens is those names are actually associated with the IP address. So the IP address doesn't go away. It's just that those names are associated with the IP address. Well, there was one company back then, Network Solutions, that was the sole bidder. The government was looking for a contractor to manage the domains. And I think at the time, no one really understood what it was about. So one company submitted a bid, got the contract, and began to manage the domains. They also kept track of what's called Whois. And you can go to Whois today, whois.com. So anytime you see a website, you want to find out who it is, you can just go to whois.com and type in the website address, and it'll give you information about them unless they have made their information private. But anyway, this one company, Network Solutions, was managing all the domain names and Whois. And even at that time, the domains were actually free. They were just giving them out for free. Until '93, when they became privatized. And again, Network Solutions was the only bidder. No one really understood what was going on. What a lot of people don't realize is that Network Solutions was actually a Black-owned firm, minority-owned firm, headed up by Emmett McHenry. And they managed the domains for 16 years. And they realized that they needed more resources because the domains were exploding, but they couldn't get any financial backing from any investors or the banks because nobody understood what the internet was about. They didn't think the internet had a future. So after about 16 years of struggling to keep up with all of the equipment that was needed and the manpower, they finally sold out in, I think, 1995 for $4.8 million. At that time, they had registered 60,000 domain names, and they sold out to Science Applications International Corporation. Within 5 years, the company was sold again to VeriSign for $21 billion. So can you imagine selling a company for 4.8 million, and then 5 years later, the value is $21 billion. Now there are over 316 domains available, and .black is one of them. And a lot of people don't realize what the .black is used for, but it's actually used to symbolize a luxurious or high-end type of service or product. And so, such as a black tie or black diamond or black dress. So a .black domain just identifies premium products or services. And so that's one of the reasons why I like the .black domain. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a little information about domains today. And that's your tech tip. Hope you enjoyed it. Well, what we also do is each week, Wheatley shares a Bible verse with us. And so, Wheatley.
Good evening. I will be coming from Ephesians 6. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Every.Black, God has given us a spiritual armor to protect us in this battle. Are you wearing it? Are you using it? Especially as entrepreneurs, the enemy, Our adversary does not want to see our purpose fulfilled. So the spiritual battle is real, y'all. Use your armor. Suit up, Every.Black family. Until next Monday, stay safe.
Okay, well, thank you. And we do that each week. And now, Jackie Bowens will introduce our speaker.
Farad Ali has over 30 years' experience as an entrepreneur, business executive, corporate banking officer, consultant, community volunteer, and elected official. Farad is the former Vice President of Network Delivery Services for the National Minority Supplier Development Council and also the past CEO of the Institute for Minority Economics Development. He recently acquired majority ownership of Asociar LLC and will serve as president and CEO. Asociar trains and develops a diverse team of engineers and technologists who design, engineer, install, and test technologies that transform network connectivity nationwide. Asociar also provides cutting-edge computing and supply chain solutions. The company's revenues have increased to over $150 million. It continues to expand business opportunities into delivering technology-related solutions. I now present to you Mr. Farad Ali, President and CEO of Asociar.
Good afternoon in some places, good morning in other places, and good evening in some other places. I pray that everyone is well. How are y'all doing today? I first want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak with you all. I'm not sure if my picture's coming through clear or if I'm fuzzy or muzzy, I'm not sure, but thank you all for giving me the opportunity to be here today. I'm excited. Thank you, Mr. Davies, for inviting me to participate in this mastermind. I came on early because I wanted to kind of get the flow and the spirit of how things were going. And I feel like we've got the right kind of spirit. Everyone was already probably juiced up. We had praise and worship. We had
That's right.
announcements. I'm not going to ask y'all for a contribution. I'm going to say that for somebody else. But we're going to just try to go forward with what we have. But thank you all. I wanted to tell y'all thank you for being who you are and coming together and believing in what work that you're doing to be an entrepreneur. I will tell you, this is less about me and more about us. And I try to help people to see that when we start talking around Black power, I always talk around, we need to talk more around Black unity. There's an opportunity out here for us all to work better together, and seeing how we can do that is going to be how we succeed in the work that we've got to do to make everyone better off. Recently, so my background, a little bit about me, they read a little bit about my bio, but I was a banker for about 10 years and I had a great opportunity to work with 3 global banks and got a chance to see how money works. That was really critical in my experience because it allowed me to understand how people get access to money, how to use money, how money is an asset, how you can use money to do good work. And also I saw how people can use money to do bad work. But I do believe the economics opportunity for us as a community is critical so that we can be able to provide the things that we need to coexist in the man's low hierarchy of needs of food, shelter, coexisting in health so that we can move forward. So money is just a tool. I think the currency is, and I think currency makes it clear. I mean, they call it currency because it's supposed to just move around and really be able to build out. So that helped me really get a greater understanding of how money should be used. I had a great opportunity to leave that work to go work for a nonprofit that focused on building and growing minority and women-owned firms. And from a standpoint of being able to make sure they had the tools and assets they need to grow and develop. That work really taught me a lot around what are the things that we all need in business to grow, not just as Black businesses or white businesses, but just in business, right? We all need this access to opportunity. To be able to grow a business, you have to have opportunity. I mean, you can have the greatest ideas and everything else, but if you don't have the opportunity to monetize that idea, then you really need that opportunity. If it's from entrepreneuring, if you're doing entrepreneurs from selling product, books, if it's selling hair care solutions, if it's selling Eyewear, if it's selling cars, I mean, you have to have a marketplace to kind of transform your assets into capital so that you can reinvest it and do the work that you need. So that taught me a lot around, if we don't have any opportunity, it's really hard to go forward. The second thing I learned is that you also have to have access to capital to fund those opportunities, because people can give you as much opportunity as you can probably handle. And I'm a big proponent that more businesses die of indigestion than starvation. Some people think because I don't have a chance to do business that they get so much business and they end up falling short of all of the obligations, either with their customer service or with the opportunity to execute. So it's not a fail-safe method, but I would say I've seen more businesses die from indigestion than starvation, because they get so much, they're so good at what they do, and then they are unable to fulfill the orders, or their back office is not really cleared up, or they got to make sure they watch out for their taxes. They got to wake out for their human resource issue. The growth comes so fast that they have to work through those things. So I think it's important to recognize, how do you use this access to capital and these market opportunities to grow. I think the last leg of this three-legged stool is just really having great managerial technical assistance. I tell people that it's really important that you have a good back office. That back office is critical for your coexistence, because business is not just networking, but it's also around making sure your records do well. Recently, the Congress passed the PPP loan, which some of y'all may know about. One of the biggest problems that we had in our community was that you have to be able to have the books to show your payroll taxes so that you can get access to this loan. So if you haven't been keeping your books well, it's hard to get access to that capital, which helped to move businesses through a tough time. And we help businesses recreate, make sure they had this information in their tax forms so that they could be able to participate with this new PPP loan. So I would tell you that having the managerial technical assistance is really important to build your business. And so for me as an entrepreneur, I tell people it's important to recognize that you got to have, I think I call this thing, excuse my colloquialism or even my discussion points, but I think you need to have good bail money. And people say, bail, man, where you been? I may not have been, but I do know, but you need to have bail. And let me tell you what that, I want you to write this down, bail, B-A-I-L. And I think a lot of times people think of bail from the standpoint of being able to get out of a problem. But I actually think you need to have it to get into a problem, right? You need to have a banker. You need to figure out who's your banker. Is your banker with you? Do they understand your business? And that banker could be an investor, but I think you need to have a banker to make sure that they understand how things work in the work that you do. A lot of bankers, when they understand the work that you do, they get a chance to be able to support you when you have a dream. And when you have a dream, they can help you take that dream and crystallize it. And a lot of times they'll help you work through their systems, what the way that numbers need to work out, how you need to make sure it works, what do you need to keep records of. And so having a partner and a banker is really critical. And I think it's important that your banker likes and wants to work with you too. If not, you should fire your banker because they work for you. I think we think that banks are a service that we work for them, but I mean, they work for us, but really they work for us. If we don't need it, we need to leave and go to find someone else that we need to work with to help us to get to what is important for us. The A, I think, is that you have to have a really good accountant, a really good accounting firm or a bookkeeper or somebody to help you with your accounting and your numbers. A lot of times I'd say CEO stands for Chief Everything Officer. You tend to do everything in your business. You tend to answer the phone. You tend to pay the bills. You tend to make the sale. You tend to collect on the PO. You tend to deliver the service, even if that may be consulting or if that may mean partnering. So really being able to recognize that having an accountant is going to help you be better off in your work. The I in bail for me is really being able to have great insurance. People have to understand insurance is what it is. It is what it is. And you don't have it, you find there's pain, right? And so being a business owner means that you have to have some risk mitigation. And having risk mitigation is understanding what kind of insurances that you need. Do you need directors and officers insurance so that your people who are supporting you are not being able to get sued? Because if you have great minds and who are providing you with the talent and resource and leadership on a board of directors level, you want to make sure they don't get sued and it costs them money. If you have assets like cars or material, you want to make sure those are covered. So in case of an accident, that those can be paid for, or you can have another way of getting that asset replaced so you can to deliver on your services, particularly if you're in a business where you need to have transportation. If transportation provides you with a way for your goods and services to get to the next place, you want to make sure that you have the insurance to cover that and the adequate amount. You want to have insurance for if you have a partner, key man or key woman insurance. Sometimes your insurance is critical if you have people who have great minds. You're really insuring that great mind so that if something happens to them, people pass. Life is very fragile. We know that. A lot of us don't know how to play that, when that time's coming for us. And by having the ability to have that insurance, it allows for the business to continue to live, particularly if that business is supporting other people's families. You want to make sure they can be able to continue to serve in that work, and you can be able to be an asset for that by having that. So look at what key insurance policies that you need to have in your business. Sometimes you have to have your business insurance just to be able to bid on projects. And a lot of companies or organizations won't hire you if you don't have the proper insurance coverage for them to do that. And they give you a certificate of insurance showing all of your things, all the way you have coverage. I think the last thing you got to have is a good, you got to have a good lawyer, right? I'm just saying, if y'all don't know, you better ask somebody. Lawyers provide you lots of coverage. They actually save you a lot of time as well, particularly when you have to deal with issues that come up in business. I do want to let you know, business is a roller coaster. It's things that happen good, bad, and it actually trains you. You just want to make sure that the trajectory is always going up. And so lawyers provide you some safety. They help you with your leases. If you have to get a lease for your business, they help you understand how that's working out, what's good for you, how to make sure you have the right language in there to protect you. They help you with if you have a case against you, or someone sues you for HR issue, they can help give you guidance there. If you have to create an estate plan, lawyers help you with your estate plan to make sure the people that you want to get your assets, get those assets, because if something does happen to you, you want to make sure there's a formal process to go forward. They also provide you guidance and leadership. They give you that kind of that compassion and that confidential listening ear for you to understand what you may need to do to protect yourself and protect your company and protect your assets. So I tell people, when you go into business, you need to make sure you got your bail money straight. And that bail is critical. And you need to interview people who you really want to respect and honor to be a part of your bail system. And those should be your partners. And those partners should know each other. I remember I made sure that all four, my banker, my accountant, my insurance agent, and my lawyer all knew each other because they were all working for me. So I took time once a month or once a quarter to take them all out to eat. And we took our time to talk around what was happening in my business. And you'd be surprised how that great mind share increased my market share. And how do you make sure when you do that, that you're building yourself out? And so it helps you to be humble enough to recognize you don't know all the things that you have to do in your business, but it allows you to take their depth of experience and to bring it closer to you and to be able to advise you to go forward. And that's really critical to really grow in dynamics of your business. And I want to also let you know that it's so important that we have strong Black businesses. I think that the best philanthropy in the Black community comes from Black people. We tend to be more giving in our community in ways that people aren't able to measure. I know that we give in ways that it's not being able to measure at a higher percentage than some people who are wealthy, because we got to make sure, because Pookie and Ray Ray helps me out. I take care of them. I take care of Mom and them. I take care of my if it's my religious back, I give to that. I just want to tell you that we are philanthropic in the way that we do things, helping with the Boy Scouts, cutting someone's hair, watching someone's child. That kind of philanthropy is not measured in any kind of economic system, but it's so critical to our community, because even that grandmother who's on the corner that watches those kids get off the bus to make sure they get home, that's philanthropy, because she could be at home watching the soaps, but she takes to get on her porch and make sure those kids get to the house, and so you can have some comfort. So I know these things because I've lived these experiences. I didn't see this on TV, and that helps me to really clearly understand how we need to be sacrificial and giving to our community, because we're not doing this by ourselves, right? It's critical that this this Black power moves to this Black unity, and we go back to that kind of communal opportunity. Now, one of the things I would like to say or leave you all with is kind of really changing our language of what we can and can't do. I'm an example of from growing from an environment where that it was tough. Neither one of my parents went to college. They were both entrepreneurial, and they worked hard in the industrial age to kind of get me to where I need to get to. And they invested in their children and was able to purchase a home, and things started to bloom. But I didn't necessarily, what I really had was love. I mean, I got to tell you, the 4-letter word that kind of built me out was love, and how to love. And that also showed me their compassion and their focus to grow and do some great things. There were so many times I could easily say, I can't because, right? I can't be a good student because I had to walk home, or I can't be what I need to be because of this, or I can't be because. And what they taught me in the way that I was live is not that I can't because, but I can if. And that's really a different mindset, right? We have to look at that in a way that allows us to grow and develop. I can't because is somewhat of an excuse. It's a defeating language. It puts words into a process that tells you what you cannot do. I can if provides you hope and opportunity. So I can be a good business person if what? I can be a great entrepreneur if. What's that if? And then how do you crystallize that if in a way that allows you to be successful? So I don't get caught up in what people telling me, you know what, I could have done this, I could have done, you know what, could have, would have, should have. I ain't interested, right? We all have the potential to be great. And so we got to figure out if being mediocre is fine. Some people are fine with mediocrity. I tell people mediocrity sucks. I really don't like mediocrity. It provides, it's a defeatist mentality because it says everything is average. I think we were made to be better than average. And so when we recognize that our greatness is in I can if and not I can't because, we find ways and solutions to be everything that we need to be. I'm no special case. I've been blessed because I've been loved. I've been blessed because I've been encouraged. I've been blessed because I've fallen down. Okay. I've been defeated. I've been crushed. I've been slapped in the head. I've been talked about. I've been lied about. I mean, let's talk. I had it, right? And that's okay. Because what I recognize is that when all those things were really stepping stones for us to get to the next space. So I will encourage you all to recognize that, you know, we need you all to be successful and to really dive into this. I was told recently, I was in a group similar to this, a little different, and we were talking around how we really wanted to build success so that we can give back to our community in a way that as we are successful, we reach back and pull up, recognizing that where we are. And what we started doing is start measuring and understanding how do we crystallize this conversation so we can talk about what we want to do. And we started looking at the institutional racism and the structural racism. We said, yeah, we get all that, but we can if. And so what we learned was we have over 328 million people in the US of A, right? Start counting. 328 million people in the USA. And we started looking at the population and how it's diverse and how minorities will be the majority and started recognizing that. And okay, let me go back. Remember, we talked about community helping to build community, why we need to have not just Black power, but Black unity. And I said, wow. And that's all about love. It doesn't mean that we don't love other people, but we do need to look at how do we love ourselves for our own self-edification. And then we said, well, what does it take to be the best? How do we help build community? How do we help build in this current environment? It's capitalistic and politicians and all the things that involve growth and development and wealth. We said, well, let's look at that. And we found that there's over 18 million white millionaires. I was like, wow. So those are the people who don't need a check. Those are the people who are investing in our politicians. Those are the people who are buying assets that are accumulating. Those are people who are doing the things to build their community, right? not just waiting for the school bus to pick up their child, but maybe having the limo pick up their child. I don't know. I haven't been there, but I just know that they have the resources to do the things they need to do. And then we started looking and we said 328 million people, 18 million people, white millionaires, and there's 35,000 Black millionaires. Okay? I'm just saying, work with me. Now, that was disheartening to learn. And it caused me to really reflect on where we were and where we need to go to get to the place where we can say, I can't because, but I can if. And I said, 35,000 Black millionaires. That's not even 1,000 per state. And so I said, wow, we have work to do, but we have to build community. So when I was on this call early, I heard Jimmy talk around this being the last barrier for us to claim our equality. So while we're fighting for social justice, which I'm with, okay? While we're fighting for social justice, please recognize social justice without economic justice is no justice. Because if people can't eat and don't have a place to live, can't pay for their own health care, can't send their kids to school, can't feel good about paying their bills and getting themselves in a mental health issue, social justice without economic justice is no justice. And so when I gave you those stats, I was trying to inform you of the opportunity of where we have to be if we want to build a healthy community, a wealthy community, a unity community. And then when we embrace other people, we embrace them from a standpoint of colleagues. So they don't have to be parental to child. We don't need people to do for me or give to me or entitled to me. I'm coming to you like we one-on-one. Let's get it done. We can rebuild my community together. We can build our housing opportunity together. We can build businesses together. But if we're on unequal ground, we will be subservient to the system. So I challenge this group of Mastermind members to believe that it's not that I can't because, but I can if. Thank you, Jimmy.
Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you. I was just making a few notes. Great points you had to make. I have to tell you though, when we were meeting physically before COVID, we were passing the plate to pay for the facility, but we don't do that anymore. But one thing that you said too, you know, I've always said get to know your banker, your attorney, that type of thing. But I never thought to have them all together, which is, I mean, is a great point. Just bring them together because they're going to be bringing different viewpoints, but how to help you, how to enhance your business or how to enhance what you're doing. So great. But let me open it up. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Ali at this time?
Hi, this is Lafayette Jones. How are you today?
Wonderful, sir.
Good. It's nice to see you and nice to speak with you, and congratulations. Would you share with our group that's on the line the good news that we're all hearing about so we can really understand it as well?
Yeah, I can do that. That's so I will say that I'm a believer in God. So if you kind of that's my premise for people who are on this mastermind. And I do believe that she puts you in position for opportunity for you to execute on those opportunities. But while you're going through your stages of work that you're doing, never to not look at what's before you and what you can do. So, Brother Jones, I think that's a great question, but I do think the evolution is what's even more important, is that I think when people stop and inventory their lives and see how they can take to not walk over the diamonds, to go to the rocks, to recognize the diamonds in their lives that they've had. So I had a job as a banker, which I may have enjoyed the money, but I didn't enjoy the way I was treated. But I took the time to still enjoy. I had a chance to work at, and which taught me about money. I had a chance to work at an organization for 20 years that taught me a lot around entrepreneurship. After that, I had a chance to work for a national organization that focused on elevating minority entrepreneurship. And so just those three, if I may say, time and space that God provided me those sections to be in, gave me the ability to recognize opportunity, that opportunity to be a partner in a firm, and to use the resources I had to meet the obligation to participate. Sometimes timing is important too, right? People have times in their lives when they want to have more, when they're ready to transition or bring in partners. And I was actually at the right place at the right time and had the ability to gather the right resources to be able to execute, because I recognized the opportunity that was before me. So that allowed me to become majority stakeholder in this firm and to start working towards what the vision is for us to grow and develop it. So for this group, I would say maybe look at what pieces of diamonds that you're stepping on or over to capture the lessons that you've learned in life, and to monetize those opportunities into ways that you can grow and be better. Bad relationships sometimes help you to know how to do a good one. Bad business ideas help you to recognize what's good business deals. And so, Brother Jones, I was able to take a lot of those experiences, and it provided me the vision to see a great opportunity that we can execute to do something special.
That's great. And I just have to say, now I had the opportunity to meet Farad maybe a year or so ago when he was running for mayor. Didn't really know him until got the chance to speak with him, with Sherelle James interviewed us both. And I'm just impressed and also proud of what you have accomplished. The more I learn about you, and also not just that, but the attitude you take about it. You're so humble and down to earth, and I'm just proud of you. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
But does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Ali?
I do. This is Michelle in Apex, North Carolina.
Hello, Miss Michelle.
Hello. How did you let your greatest obstacles, your greatest challenges, become opportunities to step up and step forward?
Yeah, that's a great question, Miss Michelle. So it's interesting. I'm blessed that I have a very wise father and parents that are close to me, and they're still alive. And my dad has probably my parents have seen all of most of my greatest successes, and also my greatest failures, or some of my downfalls, or some of my mistakes, or some of the things that God was just teaching me. And one of the things that my dad helped me with, and this was after I had it was a really dark time in my life. And he said, it was so powerful. He said, how you doing? I said, this has been tough. I said, I've got this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem. He said, that sounds real cool. He said, so you think God loves you? I said, yeah, I do. He said, so if God challenged Moses, Muhammad, Jesus, Abraham, and he listed all, he said, why wouldn't he challenge you? I said, all right, I got it. And it was real simple, right? It didn't take a whole lot. He said, if you know he loves you and he's challenging you, it's really not about your challenge. It's around your outlook. And so it allowed me to take the wisdom of challenges or opportunities to execute something special. You can either go through it or grow through it. And I took a time, and so a lot of times while the punches were hard and they hit and they hurt, I had to make a decision to kind of grow through it. It was interesting after the mayor's race, when I lost, I had a party, DJ and everybody. They were like, "You having a party?" I'm like, "It's okay. Something else is special out there for me." I didn't know what it was, but I knew if I can grow through the experience, that something special would happen. And I've never been failed.
Great. Anyone else? One last question.
Yeah, I have one.
Okay.
So, hi, Farad, this is Septina here. Just wanted to ask you opinion about a solution for multidimensional factors that influences inequality in your mind, and what would be one of those things that you, if you had the opportunity to do it, would be a silver bullet to address that type of challenge, especially in our communities, like when we try to map out inequality and income inequality. Help me understand how you think we will get past that.
Rephrase that question
Address
so
that kind
I
of challenge.
clearly understand it. That was one of those PhD questions.
No, well, okay, just helping me. If you have a single silver bullet, how would you influence inequality? 1 point.
Wow.
Okay, that's not
Thank you.
fair. I don't think there's a silver bullet to address inequality, particularly how the inequality was a accumulation of things that came upon us that make us unequal. I do believe that being clear of the obstacles of inequality and addressing them is important. So I think we have income inequality, we have housing inequality, we have, how people perceive us is unequal is amazing. So being able to recognize, having the awareness, it's an interesting question, and I'm thinking as I'm talking to you, but I think having the awareness to understand the inequality and to know that we weren't created to be depressed and defeated and guilty, but we were created to be victorious. And to change the mindset, I'm a big proponent. If you work on your mindset, things can be different for your outlook. I've seen people in my family have 0, and yet they were able to still demonstrate love and encourage others to do more. So I think if we can continue to invest and encourage others to be, and even ourselves, more, that we can be able to build something special. But it's not going to be a silver bullet. It's just going to be a lot of being aware that that success it does run in our race, and we have to figure that out. And I don't mean just the Black race. I mean success runs in the human race, and we have to be focused on how to make sure that we as humans can coexist together, do well together, grow together, and that collectively us winning together is best for our world.
Okay, well, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being our guest speaker this evening.